Okay, you're here because you want to know how to get a lot of views on YouTube. I'm a producer for over a dozen different channels. We get millions and millions of views. There's a very systematic way that you can do that, and I'm going to teach you how in this episode. We're going to cover a lot in this episode. We're going to start out talking about viral traffic and whether you can get that through search or suggested. Then I'm going to talk to you a lot about my specific strategy and how I can get traffic from YouTube in these different sources. I'm even going to show you a tool that's my favorite tool to use, and I'll demonstrate how to use it so that you can find results as quick as I do. And I'll actually link to it right now, a video right up there, because I teach an awesome strategy on how to film in multiple locations. You'll probably notice I do that in this video, and so I'll link to it now and I'll reference it again at the end of this episode. So let's dive right in. There is a big problem with viral traffic on YouTube. It's not that having viral traffic is bad, but YouTube isn't a viral or social platform. See, viral means that one person watches it and loves it so much that they share it with all their friends. And those people love it so much that they share it with all their friends. And so it just spreads like a virus. Things happen like that on Facebook. I've had many posts or videos go viral on Facebook, but on YouTube, although I've had videos get millions and millions of views, I've never had one of my videos actually go viral. We kind of already understand that YouTube isn't a very social platform, right? If there's a video that I really like and I want to share it with somebody, I'll grab the link and I'll text it to them, or I'll email it to them, or I'll message them some other way. I'll use some other social platform to share that with them. I can't share it, I can't communicate, I can't chat back and forth. I don't have friends on YouTube. We are going to talk about how to get a lot of views on YouTube, and it's a different way on YouTube than going viral. Let's talk about search and suggested. So those are the two main ways that I focus on in terms of YouTube traffic. There's others like external. If you're to email out a link to your videos, then you look in the analytics and it'll say, oh, these came from external. External might be another website, and it might tell you the website, or it might say Facebook, or it just categorizes it all as external. There's search, there's browse, there's cards, there's a variety of them. The main ones are search and suggested, and I kind of, browse is a big one, but I kind of lump it together with suggested. As it sounds, traffic from search means people are typing in searches. They are searching for you. YouTube then suggests it to them based on their search, and they click on it. So when you've got a certain percentage of your traffic coming to you from search, that's how they found you. Now, suggested means that your videos are being suggested alongside other videos or around them somehow. So if people are watching a video here on YouTube, yours might appear on the side of what they should watch next. Or when this video finishes, there's going to be a whole menu from them to choose from. Yours might be one of those options. So a lot of times when we talk about YouTube promoting your content, that's how they do it. They suggest your videos alongside others or on other people's channels. Okay, this video is about how to get a lot of views on YouTube. Can you get a lot of views from search traffic? The answer is yes, kind of, okay? But it is critical. Okay, so just stay with me for just a moment. Search lays the foundation, and you're pulling in people who are searching for you. They just haven't heard of you before. So you're pulling them in so that they find you, and they obviously found exactly what they're searching for, so they watch those videos all the way to the end. When the algorithm sees that, they see, wow, these are valuable videos, then YouTube starts to suggest your videos to bigger and bigger audiences. And some of your videos will perform better than others. In fact, some videos will get tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of views because of suggested traffic. So if you really want to get a lot, I know that's a relative term there, but if you want to get hundreds of thousands of views or millions of views, then you certainly need to get suggested traffic. But if you stick with me, the strategy that I teach, you lay this solid foundation for 1 to 2 years of search traffic. And it takes about 4 months or so for YouTube to really start to trust you to where it starts to give you a significant amount of suggested traffic. My client, Noelle Randall, in the last 2 months, her channel has grown from 16,000 to 66,000. That extra 50,000 is because we've really tapped into suggested traffic. We've really laid that solid foundation of search, and that's still there, but on top of that, now we're getting a whole bunch of suggested. Okay, so with this strategy,
we're laying a really massive, solid foundation of search. And this has several benefits. One, it makes it so the people that are all around the world that are searching for your expertise, they find you. So the people that are initially coming to your channel are your target audience, are your ideal clients. They are searching for your expertise. The next thing that laying this search foundation does is it makes it so your channel is evergreen. That means that it keeps working for years and years to come. So you make videos that show up in search, and we'll talk more about that later in this episode on how you do that. You post that video to YouTube, and right away it starts pulling in that search traffic. 6 months from now, it's going to be pulling in more search traffic than in the first month. 2 years from now, it's going to be pulling in more and more search traffic. These videos continue to get better and better results for your channel. Now, many people that find you through search, they then subscribe to your channel. So your channel grows in subscribers. And my hope is if you found me that way, or if you're not yet a subscriber, go ahead and do that now. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
As you're focusing on that search, you'll start to notice videos will just start to spike. Okay, so when your traffic is growing gradually like this, because you're laying that search foundation, when it goes like this, we call that a spike. You know, you're averaging 100 views a day or 300 views a day. Wow, 3,000 views in a day. Or wow, 20,000 views in a day. That's what Noel has been experiencing the last couple of months. Spikes don't last forever, right? When they go up, they typically come back down, but they end at a much higher baseline than before. But one thing that I love to do is to keep that spike going longer and longer and longer. But in the case of Noel Randall, it's been 2 months and the spike is still going. So how did we do that? We used the sequel technique. So let me go back to the very first time I used this technique. It was for the Chris Crone channel, and we noticed that a video that had about 65,000 views on it, the title was How to Invest Your Money in Your 20s. And when I looked where that traffic came from, majority of it was coming from suggested. So I thought, okay, here's a video that is spiking, it's got suggested traffic. If we create another video like this but make it better, I mean that video is only 5 minutes long, and it was Chris Crone sharing his story sitting on his pool table. And so I thought, okay, this will be easy to make a better video. We'll give it the same title, we'll have Chris share the same story, but we'll add more to it and we'll make it more interesting in locations. So this is the first video that I convinced Chris to film in his car. He at the time drove a black BMW i8, really awesome car. And he said, I don't want to be that guy, but I convinced him to drive away and then turn around and come back. So I filmed him pulling into his driveway. Then the wing door goes up and he climbs out, and with my glide cam, I followed him into his house. You know, so the camera is following him through the door. We walked past the cleaning lady. He says, hey, cleaning lady. And then we walked into the kitchen. He gets a drink of water with ice, and he's talking this whole time. We go down to the game room. We go upstairs back to this flip chart. I think we even went into his office. You know, we made a longer video, but it was better in the sense that he gave more examples and he invited people into his home. Well, when we first launched this video, we knew it'd do well because it had the same title as the one that had already spiked. And, as predicted, it performed better than average. But give it a few weeks, and that's when the magic really started to happen. The channel just went boom and it took off. We had 80,000 subscribers on the channel at the point right before it took off. 5 weeks later, we were at 160,000 subscribers. That's the power of a sequel technique. When you lay this search foundation that we've talked about and keep emphasizing, you watch for one of your videos to spike, and then you create a sequel, a video that's better than the one that you created before. You want it to be a little bit longer, a little bit more engaging, and you want it to be better in terms of what the algorithm sees. So we can think about it, what would be better for me, or what would be better for my viewers, and we do want that. But for this strategy, we're mainly focusing on what will the algorithm like better. Okay, so if we keep people's attention longer, okay, that obviously is helpful to the people, to the viewers, but that's a stat that the algorithm loves. It keeps people watching longer. So that's why we don't want to make it shorter, we want to make it longer. That's pleasing to the algorithm. Let me teach you an analogy that will really simplify things. You don't have to think about any of the complicated SEO anymore because there's just this one simple analogy, the analogy of a tree. Okay, a tree has a broad trunk that goes out into branches, and on the ends of those branches are leaves. Okay, the trunk represents your broad area of expertise. Each branch represents the different categories you have expertise in. So if you wrote a book, okay, in some category, each chapter would be the different areas of expertise. And then the leaves represent the very long and very specific questions that people are asking you. So you obviously have a lot of expertise. We want to make videos not on the broad trunk, the broad category of expertise. We don't want to even go into the branches, like we don't want to take a whole chapter and make an episode about that, but we want to find the leaves. We want to find the really specific questions that people are asking and make each episode the answer to that very specific question. I mean, this video right here, how to get a lot of views on YouTube. That's 9 words long. That's a very specific question. That is a leaf video. I am so excited to introduce to you the Keyword Magic tool. It's by the company SEMrush.com. They have a lot of tools. This is the only one of theirs that I use. It is absolutely amazing. Okay, and I'm going to demonstrate it assuming that you're an expert at podcasting. Okay, a few months ago, before the pandemic, I actually spoke at a podcasting event. And because there's so many podcasters in the room, I thought, okay, there's probably people in here that know a thing or two about podcasting. If they wanted to make a YouTube channel around this broad topic, this broad area of expertise of a podcast, let me show you how they would use this tool to find a whole bunch of leaf topics. Okay, so you type podcast into the search bar, then you hit the questions button. Ooh, no other tool has this button that I've seen, and this tool is awesome, and it has tons of questions. Okay, I'm going to show you another advanced filter that I use. I always set a word count to 8 by default. I'm just looking for 8 or more words, and then if I don't find anything, sometimes I can pull it back just to see. But when you apply that word count, man, I combed through the list. I found 114. So this is, again, before I spoke at PodFest, the night before I did this search, and really quickly, it took me about an hour to comb through the hundreds that were there, but I found 114 that I thought would be good individual episodes. Now, I don't expect you to be able to read the screen here, so let me zoom in and I'll show you some of the examples that I found, and I'll just highlight a few quick ones. So what equipment do you need to start a podcast? That'd be a great episode. How much money can you make from a podcast? That's a good topic. How to record a podcast with different people in different locations. That's obviously a great topic too. How to make a podcast without a microphone. If you know the answer to that one, go ahead and comment below, because I have no idea how you could actually record a podcast without a microphone. All right, how many podcast episodes should you launch with? How to market your podcast on social media. Or here's a good one. What makes a podcaster different from a YouTuber? Well, you don't get to see the podcaster like we're seeing each other here. Now that you've heard about my strategy about how to get a lot of views on YouTube, I've got one more strategy I want you to see. You're going to love this video. It's a real advanced YouTube strategy. You've probably noticed me filming in multiple locations. So this is my multiple location strategy. Watch it in the next video, either here or here.